Hello everyone, this is Intro to UnrealScript Part 2, and this is for UDK, the December 2011 version. My name is Jordan Trebus. I'm from C17 at the Guildhall, and today is January 22nd, 2012. And before we get into anything else, we're going to talk about some of the basic mod types in UnrealScript, and really there are three basic mod types. The first one is a mutator. Kind of think of mutators like the information you would change in an editor like the GEC. It's really used to change specific numbers and existing variables for different things in a game. Things like how high a player can jump, how much damage a weapon can do, things like that. Mutators are important and unique because they should always be able to stack with each other. So theoretically, you should be able to have 15 different mutators going on at one time on one map. The second type of mod is a game type. And that's what most of us students at the Guildhall will actually be using for TGP2. Now, game type is more extensive than a mutator because it creates an entirely new game mode. For example, something like a variation on capture the flag. However, these game types can contain all the same information and modifications of a mutator. So, for example, a game type can specify the particulars of a capture the flag mode, win conditions, and so forth, while also modifying the properties of the flak cannon or the player. So in this sense, game types are more powerful than mutators, but only one can be active at a time, just like the same way you can't play Capture the Flag and Deathmatch at the same time. The final type of UnrealScript mod is a total conversion. And those are projects where coders significantly alter the code base to create entirely new game experiences. That's what a lot of the capstone games are, that make completely new things. So we're going to keep going forward with our game type here. And we saw last time we set up everything in our UnrealScript. We set up this deathmatch underscore superregion.uc, and this is what we wrote last time, just that we defined a new class, and we did class deathmatch underscore superregion extends UT deathmatch. And the extend is a powerful function, because what we're saying is we're creating a new class called deathmatch underscore superregion as an extension of UT deathmatch. And what that means is that our new class will inherit all the same variables and functions of that UT deathmatch, and we're able to change only parts of that class, parts of that UT deathmatch, so we don't have to write everything from base. We don't have to write all the new code and all new functions. We can just change exactly what we want. So here, what I've written here is default properties, and this is generally how you change most of the classes, and that you change their default properties. So if you put default properties here and type this out, you'll notice that I changed the default pawn class to class pawn underscore superregion. And that's a new class that we're going to make right now. And so what we're saying here is we're changing the default for this new game type, that the pawn or the player, it's no longer going to be the default pawn, but it's going to be this special pawn called pawn underscore superregion that we're going to make right now. So what you do is you go to File, New File, and you create a new text file. And what you want to do is, and then you can save that, save the file as, and go to All Files, and save it as pawn underscore superregion.uc. And so save that out. I already have one saved, so I'm actually going to close this one here and go to this. And you can see the code that I've written for our new class called pawn underscore superregion. And you can see it's the same thing. It's using that extend function. It's extending the existing class UT pawn, which contains all the information for a basic player. And so what we've done here, you can see that we've created a new variable, a new integer called regen per second. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a player that regenerates health a few times every second. So to do this, we started by created that new variable here. Then what we're going to do is we go down here and you see this section here. And this is something we need to have for this to be able to work. This super.postBeginPlay, this allows us to call the function above that in the hierarchy. And the set timer here, this is saying that this is a 1 second interval, that this function will occur every 1 second, and that it's true, so it will continue to loop. Okay, and now we're going to go on to this part here. And so this, you can see this is the actual part where we're saying that we are regenerating health. And so we're saying that the health will equal the current health plus the regen amount per second up to the maximum health, the normal maximum health, that is 200. There's also called super health max, which is 200. So that's what we're saying. We're saying min, which is the current health, will now be health plus regen per second. And we have this if statement beforehand to say when this will happen. We're saying that this will only happen when it's a controller, when controller dot is a player controller, so this only happens for the player, and as long as the player is not in pain, so as long as the player is not being shot or taking any kind of environmental damage, and as long as the player is not firing, so we don't want them to regenerate health while in combat, and as long as their health is less than 100, they'll continue to do this. And then here we change the default properties, just like we did in the Deathmatch Super Regen. We're changing the default properties of the UT pawn, and we're changing its regen per second, which is usually 0. We're making that 10. So just kind of going through this one more time, we're saying that every 1 second, it will continue to loop, you will regenerate 10 health per second until you reach your health max. And so this is the basic script for this. This is how we do UnrealScript. And to test this out, we need to make some modifications to our properties. So you want to right-click on your Unreal tutorial project here on the right in the Solution Explorer and go to Properties. And see, I've already changed it here. You'll want to click and make sure this Load Map at Startup is enabled. This will allow us, when we test it, to go right into the map. And change this to DM-Deck. That's just one of the maps, and we'll be using that. And then here we have the second one where we want to make sure it's enabled. Start with specified game type. And then what we do is we type here and we type name of project dot name of game type we want. So for us, our project is called Unreal Tutorial Project dot deathmatch underscore super regen. So as long as both of those are good and both of these are enabled, we should be able to build and play and test out. And scripts are outdated, so you want to rebuild that. And that'll go through that. 0 warnings, that's good. And then you go to play it, and we'll see that we'll be able to regenerate health up to 100 health. So here the game has started. Now I'm moving around. I'm going to find someone to damage me. Which might be harder than it seems because the bots are not the smartest. There we go. I've taken some damage, and now you'll see I'm regenerating health. But if I shoot, I don't regenerate health. And if I'm being shot, I don't regenerate health. And now that I get to 100, I'm done. See? Back to 100. And we can see that our script works. So we can exit out of that. And that's how you create a basic game type mod. And what's great about this is because we're just editing the default properties, we're using that extend power, the power of the extend, we're able to see the default properties of all these different classes to see what we can change. So let's do an example of that. We have this UT pawn here still. And so what we can do is we can open up here on the right, is we can go to our reference source, and we can go to UT game, open that up, and we can find UT pawn under here. And there it is. We can double click on that and it opens up and you see this is the code for UT pawn. Now we're not going to be changing any code here because this is still the base UT pawn, but we can see what default properties it has by Control F and search for default properties. And then you find it, there it is. This is the default property sections for UT pawn. And you can find these things that you can now change with this pawn underscore super regen. That is an extension of this UT pawn. So generally they're closer to the bottom. So let's scroll down a bit. See some of the things we have. Let's see, here's one. Here's we got some max jump height. Here's max multi-jump. That's your double jump you get. And this is saying that you can double jump once. So what we can do is we can use that max multi-jump and use that here. So let's go back to our pawn_super regen. And under default properties, we can type max multi-jump. See, it already completes it here for us. Equals, and we can do something fun. Instead of it being just one double jump, let's say you can do 10 double jumps now. Make it a little more interesting. So you can save that out. You can build your solution. Test it out. It's gonna rebuild your scripts. There should be no errors, no warnings. That's good. We'll do it one more time. The level will start up, and we'll still have all the same health regeneration and everything that we've already had. But now we should be able to jump about 10 times. So we'll start here, and let's try to make it over to this platform. 1, 2. There we go. And just keep jumping. I made it. Alright, and so you can just keep playing with properties you want. You can make your character move faster, jump higher. You can make him the Bionic Man. Whatever it is you want to do. What's great is this doesn't apply to just the player. You can actually adjust the default properties of game types. You can adjust them for weapons. All of these things. This is a really simple way to make some great and interesting changes to a game type. And so thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and look for part 3.